What's up, everybody? This is Coach Joe with The Entrepreneur Experience. I'm super excited about my friends and guest on today's episode. We have Sarah Wood and David Wood, husband and wife duo that's knocking out the park. They own both Allegiance Heating and Air in San Diego and Absolute Duct and Chimney Cleaning. But before I go into any other story, guys, what is going on? How are you guys doing today?
Good, good. Just
Got decent weather in San Diego today. No rain, which is always a good day.
been
Yeah,
raining
that's
quite
like-
a bit out here for whatever reason, but yeah, it's a nice day.
Yeah. So global warming's happening out there. Is that what it is? Or
Yeah, something like that.
Depends on
Awesome.
who you ask. Depends on who you ask, Joe.
Depends on who I ask. That's right. I think if you ask me, I have no idea what's going on. But I've been out
Neither
here.
is the weatherman, just so you know.
Well, they say here in Missouri and Kansas City, you get 4 seasons in one day at times. So I think the weather is all over the place. But okay, we're gonna do our icebreaker really quick. So both of you guys, are you coffee or tea people? What is your
Coffee.
preference? Coffee.
Pre-workout, no, coffee.
What is your is that coffee your pre-workout or?
It's coffee. We like coffee.
I got into Celsius. Have you guys ever had Celsius before?
Yeah.
I have not, and I don't drink that. I'll do
Oh.
like a sugar-free Red Bull every once in a while, but I know
Well, you know-
Celsius is supposed to be much better for you.
Apparently it has 0 sugar. It's natural, I guess. I don't know.
Ish.
But it has a lot of caffeine. And some people have said like they felt like they were having heart attacks when they first drank it.
No.
So I was like, cool, that sounds cool. Let me have one. So
Let me try it.
Let me try it. So when you have your coffee, do you drink it black or do you like creamer?
Creamer.
Creamer?
We do an oat milk based creamer flavored.
Oat milk.
Yeah, I like a little bit of cream.
Creamer.
Half and half,
Awesome.
something.
And hot coffee or cold coffee? What is your preference?
Either way.
Either way, we just like
Either
our
way,
coffee. Yeah.
just have coffee.
It depends for me. It really depends on the weather outside.
Oh, okay.
So if summer
one of those-
comes up, I'll go more towards the iced coffee in the morning. But right now, it's warm hot coffee.
Yeah. I'm weird. It's like if it's not hot, it's not pleasant. I have no idea why, but like on a hot day, I still drink hot coffee. But all right, cool. Well, let's get into this entrepreneur stuff because honestly, I feel like a lot of people have a different view of what success is. I really want to ask you guys this question. What is the definition of business success to you guys?
Can I answer that?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. For me personally, I think for both of us, but for me, it's when I see my employees grow. I've had a lot of tenured employees that have been here from, 1 to most of them on average about 3 to 5 years. I have a couple that have been here from 7, 8 years, and just seeing them grow, buying their first vehicle or their new home or upgrading their apartment or having babies. I've seen several of those. We've had several baby showers here.
Oh, wow.
And it's just marriages, all of that. It tells me that we are collectively, doing what we need to do to grow the company to keep them employed and making the money they need to succeed in their own home.
That's powerful. So the definition of business success for you is really how well the team is based off of your leadership.
I'm pretty employee centric, so yes.
That's pretty cool.
And I mean, cliche, obviously my family's growth, the health of my family, success for us is getting along as entrepreneurs together, business owners together, and then seeing, being able to provide for our kids as well, and now our grandbaby.
Oh, nice. What about you, David? What is the definition of success for you?
Well, it's easy to go ahead right away to look at your overall revenue, right, on a year basis or something like that, monthly, and see what that looks like. But that's the obvious choice. I think that Sarah nailed it on the head with seeing other people succeed within our team, because that means we're building something that's worthwhile, has value, and is special. Maybe I base it on the amount of toys I have. No, I'm just kidding.
No, he's not kidding. It's definitely his off-roading stuff.
It's
That's what it is.
Oh.
I think there's a few things, of course, little more financial freedom, but
Financial
when
freedom.
you're owning a business, you don't have financial freedom always. Sometimes that's tied up into what you're trying to build. So um,
I
I
like that.
I think that it's really the health of the team and um, just the successes of everybody who's in it. Also would count would probably be the your tenured people, like how long has someone stayed with your company. That I think that says a lot
Yeah.
about success and people wanting to stick around.
Mhm.
So there's a few factors in there.
I love that though. I feel like personal success would be once, and like you said, it's ebb and flow, but once you are financially free,
Mhm.
I like that a
Mm.
lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I feel like most entrepreneurs start a business for a reason, right? And then it becomes that reason. And as we mature in business and realize what business really is, that shifts a little bit, right? Like seasons of business maturity. You talked about having a grandchild now. So obviously what you thought about business success 3 years ago is not always what it is today because there's another
Right.
person involved. So how do you deal with that constant change in, okay, there's a new season of my business, my employees are changing, my family dynamics is changing, and how do I maintain those blinders to make sure that I still stay on track to my success or what I want?
Are you referring to like workflow, work coming in because I'm seasonal, or
Adapting
No, I
to all the
just
changes.
overall, like, as an
Yeah.
entrepreneur, right? Like workflow, seasonal, that's all part of your business, right? But how do you maintain um just that steady and consistency? Because making sure your eye on the prize is actually a very important part of being an entrepreneur, because you can give yourself to everybody, your family, your team, you're very team centric. But where do you guys make sure that your personal priorities have boundaries and you're still focusing on it and moving towards that?
Uh, I'll take a quick stab at it. I think one of the biggest things, at least it is for me personally, is to really keep your highs and lows in check.
Mhm.
It's easy to you see like a big job come through and you get all excited about it, but really it's the consistency.
I'll open this up for you.
Sorry about that. We got a phone ringing problem here. It's just being
We're new to this.
consistent with your ups and downs, right? Because they're going to be coming, and it's like a
Right.
wave. And I think just being consistent with it, that being consistent with it is it gives you a consistent way of handling those ups and downs because the
Mhm.
personal, your attitude kind of just stays there. I always try to stay positive and keep it positive, but it's really hard to do that sometimes when there is things that go wrong or whatever. So
Yeah.
I think it's just
So knowing what to expect and
yeah, and like
getting ahead of it.
not letting those lows get too low, and then also stay humble when you are having
Mhm.
success because that low is coming at some point. It isn't going to be. It's not going to just stay like that. So
Right. Right. So when you guys are staying ahead of things, like how do you guys prepare for that? Do you
Well,
say,
through
hey,
you,
we
Joe, through
save some?
coaching.
Well, obviously, having a fantastic coach, but like personally, because I love watching you guys on a personal level. Like you're taking time out for the family. You had what looked like a very nice Easter. You went to Hawaii as a family to celebrate, some things. It seems like you guys prioritize those things. But I also know how busy your business life is, running two great businesses that require a lot of attention. So, prioritizing that, you guys have to at least have some systemized approach to doing that.
Yeah, and it can be difficult. I'm sorry.
oh, I was just thinking about the words you use, systemized approach, and man,
You're welcome. I do all that planning. I make sure it gets on the calendar on both of our calendars. It's difficult. We also have a daughter that's in travel softball and
Mhm,
she's also on a shooting team that takes us out of town.
mhm.
So we incorporate a lot of our family vacations with that.
Okay.
Also our work trips.
Mhm,
We have to go to, we've been to Vegas for Action Coach. We're also part of Next Star that taking us to um Action Coach is also taking us to Nashville. We
yeah.
really try to utilize that time for us, business and also to just personally connect and have some fun while we're out there. And it's a great write-off. So we learn a lot. We get to hear a lot of influential people talk, and we have fun out on the town as well.
Yeah, and you guys can connect. That's awesome. So what attracted you to be an entrepreneur? I know your story is a very unique story, but let's talk about that. What attracted you to be an entrepreneur?
Well, I didn't realize I was going to be until my father passed away. I know you've heard that story, but he did finally pass away. But what really why I wanted to take over his business, I was doing escrow. You refinance when you buy a house or you refinance. And it was 2008, 2009, the market crashed.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And that's allowing others around you or the industry around you to really dictate where you're at. And he kind of fell in the same with COVID when he joined. But at that time, it just wasn't, because I went from working 60 hours a week to the phone's essentially not ringing. So when my father did pass away, I just thought I'd take a stab and kind of create my own destiny and went with it.
Nice. So what were you thinking then? Because obviously to where you've matured now in business, your vision was, you don't know? So you just said, let me jump in and then that's it? Like, let me.
What was I thinking? I was going crazy. I was thinking that I wanted to just continue my father's legacy, honestly, at that point.
Okay. Just
continue the legacy. There was not much going on in like I said, the market had crashed at that time, especially out here in California. And I wanted to continue his legacy and make him proud and make my family proud.
What were some of the early on challenges that you took on? And just to kind of put context around this for the listeners, you took on an HVAC business, right? A very male dominant industry.
Yes.
And you didn't know anything about it except for your dad did it, right? Like you didn't do any installs or anything like that. So what were some of the very beginning challenges that you had to fight through to really, get your feet established in this industry?
Well, he was a one-man shop, so I had a lot of office experience in dealing with customers and different personalities, so I was able to bring that to the table. Earlier challenges, he didn't have a website. There was nothing technology-wise about his company. It was paper-based. So I had to figure out a way and just essentially, I didn't go to school for this, so learn on my own on how to do all that and create the office for it. I mean, there was really hard times between David and I as well. I mean, it's not easy running a business. You need a lot of support and a lot of patience from everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, she's well, I think the biggest challenge was you're trying to, she's still grieving over the death of her father. There's a lot of chaos that kind of ensues through that. And then there's a lot of emotion, right? There's a lot of emotional challenges. And then, she still is trying. So she's still trying to act as a wife, not act, but be a wife, be a mother, be all those things with all the emotion going on, and then try to make her dad's business succeed or continue on. So deal with those emotions and then all the challenges that come with it. And yes, it's a male dominated field. All that together is a lot. It's a lot to take on. So it's impressive to get that.
Turn it off.
Yeah.
We're so sorry. It's not our phones. There's phones in here that
no, it's okay.
Dropped off. It's a company phone.
No worries. Well, look, anybody who watching is going to get the raw version of what's going on as a business owner, right? So there you go.
But that was very sweet of what you said. It's all true. Everything you just said.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I think those are the things. Balance, getting that balance there, and still just keep forging ahead. Yeah.
So David, like being her support during that time, because I know that the first few years of business for anybody is challenging. And then inheriting a business when you didn't really have an idea of wanting to even have a business and it just kind of falling into your lap like that also produces its own challenges. So David, like as her husband, as her support, like what were the things that you had to do to just kind of make sure that she could still build that strong, solid foundation of what Allegiance is today?
Man, like try to you know, because I had my job that I was still doing. This is before we did anything with Absolute, but um, being supportive through those challenges, having a good attitude through some of the things that
Trying.
weren't going as well as you'd want them to be. I mean, man, it was really hard in the beginning.
Mhm.
And I just think that just being supportive I think that was challenging for me, not because I did support her, it wasn't like that, but then and understanding everything that she's going through and
Yeah.
keeping that all in perspective, you
Yeah.
know. So sometimes it's easy to take things for granted or let, you know, not fully understand what's going on, and patience, you know, it was never been my strong suit. So being patient was very tough too, and learning how to be more patient. So I'd
Yeah.
say those.
I don't think he remembers, but I didn't make any money for like the first couple of years. So he said, yeah, you remember? Well, so one of the challenges was he was the financial support
Mm.
for,
Mhm.
and I would not have been able to do that. I think because it is a male dominated industry, and if I had chosen to go on the field, which I didn't,
Mhm.
money would have started flowing right away. But because I didn't choose to go on the field and I did hire,
Mhm.
um, it I did not make very much money
Right.
at first. So he was a huge financial support.
Yeah. When did you start seeing a very positive shift? Because, you know, obviously the first couple of years you said you didn't make any money. I think you said the first 2 or 3 years.
Well, it's the first few, I mean, it did grow 100% every year for the first 4 years, but then it got to a point, um, there was other challenges there too, family
Sure.
dynamics and, things we can get into at another time. But um, it was around, I would say 4 to 5 years um, later, I
Mhm.
was making the amount of money that and the company was going in a direction. I wasn't really sure. I was to a point where I
Mhm.
was either going to just figure it out on how to run a business or I was going to quit. It was,
Mm.
that 4 or 5 year period. And I think that's where a lot of
Yeah.
people start to feel that pressure.
Yeah. Within
And
5 years. Yeah.
yeah, someone gave me some good advice and said, you need to get a business coach
Okay.
and you need to join a contractors group.
Mhm.
People that are like-minded like you, people that run businesses like you, people that can give you advice and they've been there, done that. Go learn
Mhm.
from the wise people. You don't have to make all the mistakes and figure it out, keep going. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I did both. And we're here
Awesome.
15 years later. So, and
Yeah.
that was around year 4 or 5.
I like that. So I met you going to a Santee Chamber event,
Okay.
but had no idea that you were being coached by the coach that we were interviewing and thinking about interviewing or
Yeah.
investing in. And then all of a sudden we invested in Coach Carrie Kaufman, and I saw you at a her client appreciation. We're like, what is going on here? So it was kind of cool. Like that's how you and I met. And then the first time I met David, I remember I was fixing your guys' chimney or servicing it, and then David just walks in. Who are you? That was my first movie. But then it's kind of cool to see that into like our relationship now. So
I know
what
now that he's the one with doing the chimneys or,
doing all the chimneys, yeah.
running it. Yeah.
Doing a great job, by the way, too. So when you finally got coaching, what was the
Mhm.
pivotal moment? Because obviously through coaching, you have highs, you have lows, but like there's a certain pivotal moment in your business where you make the decision to keep going. And then now you're starting to see positive results as far as revenue, profit, you're paying yourself something. Where was that as far as like year? And then like what was it specifically that you did different that made those positive shifts?
Well, I didn't go to school to run a business. I
Mhm.
didn't get a degree in business. So I think where my strengths lie in organizing a desk and getting an office together and dealing with different personalities, since you deal with a lot of residential clients and just different personalities in general, your employees, clients. So the main reason for me to get a business coach was to figure out how to systemize
Mhm.
and keep it systemized. And I went and saw Coach Carrie, and she looked at my P&Ls and said, "You can afford an assistant." I said, "I can." She's like, "You need an assistant, or you're not going to be able to grow."
Yeah.
So that advice, I bit the bullet and I got my first assistant, and then I never looked back. I think we have 5 girls in the office now. So
That's awesome.
yeah,
Lots of assistants.
5 employees in the office.
5 employees in the office. That's so cool. I think that was one of her first advice to me, because I was trying to find a technician, and I thought that would save me time, but actually I spent more time trying to train the technician, fix all the mistakes and everything like that. And one of the first pieces of advice she said, she's like, why don't you just have somebody do all the stuff that you shouldn't be doing, like answering the phones, scheduling jobs, billing, collecting. I'm like,
Correct.
oh, why didn't I think of that? And so when
I
I did
never
that,
would have been able to grow in
Yeah.
other ways if I didn't hire someone else to answer the phones and
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you built Allegiance from the ground up, and then you made a business purchase in 2021. Do you want to talk about that?
Surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was COVID.
Mhm.
It was during that time. We don't have to get too much into COVID, but just perspective. Out here in California, service-based businesses were considered not essential
Mhm.
businesses. So my Allegiance was doing very well. David, he was an electrician in the union for about 17 years, and they were doing fine, but I think it was just time for it. I thought it was a time for a change for him. He just didn't seem happy, but I mean, I can let him talk to that. I asked him if he would go in on another business with me if Allegiance had invested in it, and he said yes. So that was the purchase of Absolute Duct and Chimney Services in 2021.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I had spent, what was it, 17
years.
17 years in the IVW local 569 as a union electrician. And then before that, at least 8 years with another electrical company that was non-union. So I had been doing electrical for quite some time, and it was
Burnt out.
no, well, it was a great career. I'm really thankful that I did it. I went 5 years of trade school and got my journeyman state certification, and then I worked with a lot of good people. So it was just, I think, the daily grind of waking up, so early. And a lot of times I worked graveyard shift at the airports. So, which put stress and strain on our lifestyle and stuff like that, with just odd hours and working. And mainly, I think the reason for deciding to go this way was probably, to set your own schedule, right? And kind of have ownership over your day-to-day activities. Also being able to coach Ashley in softball gave me an opportunity to do that, which I'm very thankful for. It was pretty cool. So just things like that, there was a little more freedom with day-to-day activity. And yeah. So,
You're still working all the time, but you do set your own hours essentially.
yeah. And then definitely there was some medical condition stuff that had popped up. Nothing really major, but it started making it more uncomfortable and difficult to do that day-to-day stuff. Just body was starting to break down of the years of all the hard construction and stuff, and being in trenches and whatnot. So it kind of caught up to me, and it was trying to make that some kind of a change. And thankfully, an opportunity like Absolute had come along, and I had Sarah as the backbone and the person that really had the experience of doing the business. And so it was definitely, I knew it was going to be a challenge, but also I knew I was going to have the support to be able to pull it off. So,
heating and air is so up and down. We're San Diego. We literally have 2.5 months of real hot weather, and that's it. So Absolute Duct and Chimney to me was a great filler for those off-season months, and it was really important for me to bring another trade. I wasn't sure that I wanted to do something like electrical, and he wanted to get out of electrical or plumbing. They're a little bit, I felt that this was a better fit for my company, with the air duct cleaning, the dryer vent cleaning, light repairs, cross-selling, all the things just sounded great. So I was very thankful when I proposed it to him that he jumped on board, and he's been doing a great job running that division.
Yeah. So I don't know if you remember, we were in Nashville for BizX. I think it was 2020, right before the pandemic happened. And so we were in Nashville. I remember sitting at the table.
February 2020, because when we came back in March or April, when we
That's
came
true.
back and it like closed
So
down.
February 2020, we were at the Omni Hotel in downtown Nashville. I remember this. You and I were in the conference with all the other people that got coached by Coach Carey. David, you went there, but you weren't going to the conferences at that point. You were,
Right.
I think you were relaxing. But
He
Sarah,
was
you and I
having
are
fun.
I know.
I was
You and
on
I are very
vacation.
well, Sarah and I are pretty, we're competitive, right? And we've always jabbed at each other. And you said something to the tune of this. Don't worry about it, Joe. I'm going to buy your business anyways. I think you were just being snarky, which was crazy because almost exactly a year later, guess what happened?
We did it.
I don't think we had any intention to do that. Like, but it was so weird that you said something like that, just a friendly jab, right? Like a friendly competitive jab. And I'm like, holy crap. I just thought about that the other day. I was like, she actually spoke that into existence. Freaky, but at the same time, pretty cool. So with these two businesses now, and with the family dynamic and your lifestyle, you guys have matured so far beyond when you first started at Allegiance. Where do you see the business taking you in the next 10 years? Where do you want to be?
Oh, well, I know we want another property somewhere outside of California. Our daughter graduates in a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
So once she's gone and we see where she's going to college, we would start to like looking around at different states, and we he's got all sorts of plans for
Oh, I would love to have a property that is really just, it's excluded, you know, it's not going to be, the neighbor is, we're not going to go down, walk across the street to get milk from the neighbor or anything like that. This is
Right,
going to
right.
be, you're going to have to get on a side by side and drive for a while, or your car or whatever. But yeah, I would like a place where, you know, that our grandkids are going to be able to grow up in not a city environment all the time, that they have freedom to explore the great outdoors. You know, that's always been a dream. When I retire, I want to spend a lot of my time there in the great outdoors, because you know, you spend your majority of your life trying to build a what do you, I don't want to say empire, but you know, you're trying to build your foundation to where you have enough money to be comfortable and
Right.
do those things that you dreamed about all your life. You know, and your dreams change and stuff, but I mean, I think it's just important that we'll at least get our grandkids to enjoy a different style of life, you know, and even our kids, you know, as they're still young, they're very young, so for them to have a different lifestyle other than what I had. And not that mine was bad, but we didn't have a lot of financial freedom when I was young. So
Right, right. So how does your business need to look like? How do both businesses need to look like, and how does it need to function to be able to give you that life?
they have to be good enough, isn't right, but
Right.
to sell. They got to be profitable. The systems have to be dialed. The culture has to be,
On point.
people want to have, people do want to work here. We are very lucky. Our retention's really good, but it needs to grow a little bit more, I feel, to get the money that we would want. If it's got to be sellable for the amount that we want in order to create that lifestyle. So
I think that if to be under, you know, and I hate putting caps or limits on things. It really depends on how things, just events, turn events happen. But specifically in my mind, I think something that stays under 50 employees total between the two. And I don't know what that number, how to sustain that, what that would look like, but a really good 50 employee or under company, or if it's both, and if we don't merge them, but hope it'd be nice to merge them. I think that would be a good goal, but I don't know how we can do that and make it still successful. But the just under 50 and just really good, like sound systems, everything works well. People are really happy to be here and encouraged to be here, would be good, you know, because I don't see how you would expand on something that isn't, you know, a well-oiled machine. You know, you don't just keep growing just because you can. But I don't know, something like that.
What about you, Sarah? What do you think?
Um, everything that he just said, but systemizing, making sure your systems are there. It's got to be sellable. We got to produce something that somebody wants to come and buy.
Yeah.
That's the only way I can see us being able to provide the future get the future that we're looking to have. Because I want to keep our house in California too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Just in case, right?
Roles, I was gonna
Yeah.
say, just maybe our roles are come back, and
Yeah.
then we have the right leaders in position and let those people lead,
Yeah,
you know,
okay.
and start taking over some of those responsibilities. Obviously, to make it our life maybe a little less stressful, but just there's people that you should hire. I mean, that should lead, you know, and
right people in the right spot.
right
Yeah.
spots, yeah, and seeing that kind of come to fruition, those leaders kind of develop and present themselves and
Yeah.
become successful in those roles. So that'd be
Yeah.
really cool.
So you said two things that are very important: having solid systems and having a very good leader in place under you guys to kind of make sure that they're managing the team to get the best results, or at least the results that you're looking for with those systems.
And profitability.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, you can't really have a good business if there's no profit or cash flow, right?
Yeah.
So what does Carrie say? Revenue is vanity, profit is sanity. Like we're working for the profit. So what do you think is your next big move in the next 3 years to move towards that direction, what you guys were talking about?
Well, I mean, we just hired someone new, but I think that finding someone that just that key role player manager, I think that really sees the vision like we do. It is here for that vision. You know, I guess you just don't know who has ulterior motives when you have it. And sure, they get here and then but someone here that really wants to invest in what we're trying to do, and then play a larger role than when they first started here.
Okay.
And
yeah, that's probably more of the one year plan. And within 3 years, I wouldn't mind duplicating. I've always wanted to duplicate this company, whether that's another state or just up the road here and outside of San Diego, up north a little bit.
Right.
So duplicating the company, having maybe a satellite office somewhere else.
Well, look, I know there's a great city in a different state where you have great friends that might want to pick you up on that. It's called Kansas City, by the way.
Baby.
Yeah. Awesome. So I'm seeing getting a leader in place, maybe another site, another location, and everything like that. So what are things that you have to do with your culture right now to make sure that those things are solid, so that way when you do bring in that person, because if you bring in that person, it might not even be somebody from within, it might be somebody totally different with a skill set, and you have this culture. So how can you build a culture now that will, I guess, prepare your team for possibly that leader that you're going to bring in? Because it's not going to be Sarah and David anymore. It's going to be whoever you bring in as a general manager.
I have a couple of good leaders in place right now, and I think it's just consistency with meetings, the trainings. We're a part of Nextstar, which they're nationwide in the contractor industry, and they put on a lot of different trainings. So whether it's customer relations, sales, technical, having fun. We do outside of just work, getting together, whether it's the end of the year party or going to the bay during the summer with the families, getting to know each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you said it though, to be consistent. I think that's the key, because you're saying all these other things around it, but I mean, really just be consistent with all of those ideas and those things, being real intentional about being consistent, and creating tradition here that is a positive tradition that, that people are just going to be wanting to participate in, those events and those things. I think that's a huge deal, being consistent.
That's actually very, very true. They say that the younger generation nowadays, there's two things that they want. They want they want to be a part of something bigger than them. So they want to be a part of a company that has bigger meaning than just what they do. And they also want consistency, which is crazy because the younger generation now seems to be the most inconsistent, but they thrive under consistency. And I see that like my kids that are very inconsistent, but we as parents have to be consistent. So that's kind of ironic how businesses kind of run like that. Like you're managing your own children at times. So if you can literally talk to the 20-year-old version of yourselves, or the version of yourselves that just started business, what is the best advice you can give yourselves, knowing what you know now?
Try not to cry too much.
Stop fighting. No.
I would say if it's so we have a unique situation where there's other people that have this, but we're obviously a husband and wife team that is running, these two businesses. And I think that making sure this here is good before the business side.
Your foundation.
Yeah. We of course there's ups and downs, and we do bicker when it comes to work every once in a while. But I think we're pretty consistent about going out with each other and doing things together and making each other laugh and having a good time. Sometimes we have too much of a good time. There's that, but
hey.
I remember Nashville. I do.
Yeah. No,
I don't.
But we do like to spend money and enjoy ourselves, and reward ourselves with all the hard work that goes into it. And that's, part of it's keeping your sanity when you're doing that too. But I think just
have fun try to have fun through the process.
Yeah.
Just know everything's going to be okay.
Your personal relationships really do need to be, you should be taking care of those, so that the work stuff is kind of secondary when it comes to that.
Yeah. You guys are the ultimate example that Chris and I talk about of, business should give you more life, not take it from you. Because we love that you guys take advantage of all the opportunities that business gives you to really throw in your life and enjoy that and create experiences.
Yeah. And before we end on, or before we go too far, I just want to say I learned a lot of that from you, just so you know. You talked about, you, Christy, and I obviously learned from you guys because you were doing it before we did. And so, a lot of credit has to go to you in that sense. And so just trying to follow some of that lead. Yeah.
I appreciate that. Well, it's funny because you guys were talking about, like, you said it, David, this needs to be good, meaning you and your wife, your marriage. It's funny because husband and wife couples, like husband and wife teams that run business together, if you don't keep that solid, the dangers of what the business can do is very real. And I think Christy and I have dealt with that every year that we were in business. Like, there was always those pivotal moments where it's like, really don't like you right now because of how you talk to me, or your idea for this business is way opposite than what I want to do for the business. But you're right. Like, if we fixed us, then it typically felt like after that happened, the business just, everything went into play and happened perfectly. But whenever we were off kilter, the business was off. It's funny how the business mirrors us, right?
Yeah.
So cool, man. Well, look, if there's anybody listening right now as a husband and wife team, specifically in your industry or not, what can you tell them to do to make sure that they're okay in their marriage so that their business can be okay?
Yeah, man, it sounds cliche, but staying grounded, don't let your lifestyle outplay who you are, your real true self, your personality. Don't let that lifestyle, or they can come with whatever money you start earning or anything. I think you got to stay grounded and stay true to who you are as a person. Like that's probably, I think that means being consistent too. What do you think?
Well, like we said before, you gotta have fun together. You can't let the business overtake you. You can't let your kids dictate how you guys are towards each other. Is within the business, just accept the role that you're good at. Don't try to do all of it. Because we're different creatures of habit. We're different in nature. He's better with the technical side on the field, dealing with the guys. I'm better in the office with how office runs, it flows, customer conflict. He allows me in my space. I try to allow him in his. But just it's tough because I've been running a business for quite, a little bit longer than him. But it's don't overdo your role. Like, just accept where you're good and let the other one lead where they're good as well.
Yeah. Stick to your genius. I like that.
Was that too much?
Stick to your genius, what you're good at, right?
Genius. So, there you go.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this was an awesome conversation with Sarah and David Wood, who own both Allegiance Heating and Air and Absolute Duct and Chimney Cleaning in San Diego. Guys, if there's anybody in San Diego listening and wants to inquire more about your guys' life or your business or what you do, or even get some service from you, how can they get a hold of you guys the best way?
Well, they can book online on either website, or just call the office. So there's a lot of, I don't like to deal with the phone, so you just go to our website and you book online. You can book any service on there.
Yeah, Google us or Google duct cleaning or heating and air, and usually
we'll see how your SEO is
our company should pop up. So.
Don't do that because that costs us money.
That's just
do absoluteductandchimneyservices.com or cleaning.com.
Yeah. So what we'll do is we'll put your guys' social media handles up and your website. So depending on where you guys are watching, if you're watching on YouTube, then we'll put that in the comments and in the title. If you guys are watching on social media, then we'll put that in the comments. If you guys are watching from a podcast platform, yes, Google Absolute Duct and Chimney Cleaning in San Diego and Allegiance Heating and Air San Diego, and their website will pop right up and you guys can get in contact with them. They have high ratings, high 5-star ratings. I think over 1,000 together as a company. And I know Absolute has a lot. So if you guys are looking for some quality work with some great people, with employees and team members that absolutely love what they're doing, and you need HVAC work, heating or cooling, or duct and chimney cleaning services, and you're in San Diego, just make sure that you hit them up and support a great company who's doing some great things in San Diego and in East County. So guys, thank you so much for this time. I really appreciate you. Do you have any last thoughts?
No, we just appreciate you choosing us to come on your podcast and hanging out with us for an hour.
Absolutely. We'll probably do a second session sometime down the road.
Yeah.
And we'll see what adventures you guys already took at that point.
Thank you, Joe.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Joe.
All right, guys, have a wonderful day. And thank you so much. Tune in next time for the next entrepreneur experience.